Beautiful pictures of the Growth Point Kings Park Stadium where South Africa were victorious. Their 24th victory over France. And with that 2-0 series win, and we call our man of the match, Casalaga man of the match, is Siya Kolisi, and Lazola Dali, as sponsorship manager for Casalaga, will present him with his gold coin. Siya, great performance out there. You find a lot of space compared to last week.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity. Yeah, it was a great game. You know, we didn't start off well, but the boys stuck to their guns. And in the last 20 minutes of the first half, we started getting our movement, we started getting our shape. Yeah, but we knew it was always going to be tough with them bringing all 8 new guys, so we had to stand up today.
Clearly, you guys really thrive on this toughness, this 2017 season. You enjoyed the tough one. You saw so much character defensively from the Springboks.
Yeah, 100%. It means so much for us to play for this team, and we know what we did last year, and we just want to build. We've forgotten what happened last year, but we do use it to motivate ourselves to go forward as a team. And we know a lot of people, rugby in South Africa is more than just a sport. It means a lot to people. It brings the country together, you know, but we're just focusing on this group here and making sure we're doing what we need to go forward.
See, you celebrated your birthday yesterday. A lot of your friends were telling me that they thought you were a lot slower, but you found the space out there.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have teammates that can spot the gaps and put it in space, and I gotta use my opportunity when I get it here.
All the best going forward.
Thank you, sir.
Now the losing captain, Guillaume Girardot, tough day at the office for the French. They made the changes. Again, good start, but you just couldn't get those points out there.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, my English is too bad. I got to continue to learn in Toulon with Brian and Dwayne.
The start was good, not enough possession to finish off.
Le score a été un peu.
Yes, of course. On a bien commencé le match. Et après, les Sud-Africains nous ont attaqué dans toutes les zones. Ils ont réussi à marquer 2 essais. Un sur interception qui nous ont fait très très mal. Et sur la seconde mi-temps, on a dominé pendant 20 minutes et après on a pris 3 essais en contre.
Yeah, South Africa did well. They scored 2 tries, 1 on an interception. Second half, we start well. We keep the ball 20 minutes where we're not able to score during that time, and it will make us in trouble at the end of the match.
Looking forward to Johannesburg. What are you going to fix for the 3rd test match?
We are hard week. Last week for us because after we are on holiday, but we show we are a tough week, and we would like to stay focused for the last game.
All the best for next week.
Thank you.
Now to the winning captain, Warren Whiteley. Another win for South Africa and winning the series 2-0 up against France. Tough performance out there, but you got the result at the end.
Yeah, it was a tough game at own. Thought we didn't start too well. They put some pressure on us first 10 minutes, but we managed to turn it around, picked up the intensity and put the pressure back on them. And look, the second half was also important for us. You know, we were against the wind. We knew the pressure would be on us, but we started well and we put pressure back on them. But yeah, really proud of the team.
South Africa is proud of the team, especially defensively. The work you did without the ball was one of the best we've seen in the Springbok jersey in a long time.
Yes, and look, that's all character, and that's what we've been speaking about the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it's extremely proud of the boys. You know, the support has been phenomenal, and we really appreciate it. We want to make our country proud.
You've done that with distinction today, and all the best for Ellis Park next weekend.
Thanks so much, Owen. We'd just like to thank all the supporters that came out and just urge everyone to come to Johannesburg next week. Cheers.
An outstanding performance by the Springboks that winning the Test Series against France 2-0 up. Next weekend we'd expect a full Ellis Park down in Johannesburg, where you'll expect 50,000 strong supporters backing Warren Whiteley and the Springboks to clinch the series 3-0.
Well, 37-15, a wonderful end to the match. Not too many points in comparison to the first half, but it took quite some time, 69 minutes, for the French to eventually get onto the scoreboard with a 3-pointer, but made to work every inch of the way for every single point. Some wonderful performances by a couple of individuals. We'll pick them out shortly, but before we do that, how's about we just dust off the old memory banks and just remember something which I thought stood out quite well, and it's our Amarok moment of toughness.
This moment of toughness is brought to you by Amarok. Not just tough, smart.
And then Pinot. Huge hit from Kitsov. No hands! And every now and there's moments. Boom! Look at this. It's huge hit from Steven Kitsoff. Really tough effort from the big gingerhead front rower.
Just going to say, tackles don't come tougher than that.
This moment of toughness is brought to you by Amarok. Not just tough, smart.
Well, Steven Kitsoff, absolutely wonderful off the bench, as were a number of performers off the bench. Wonderful to see. And somebody remarked in our control room that he's like MTN, like the new sponsorship. Everywhere you go, Steven Kitsoff on defense. Wonderful to see. But, Nick, similar scoreline to what we saw last weekend. But you'd have to say, given the personnel changes on the French side, possibly a better performance by the Boks, despite that scoreline.
Yeah, I think this was a really just an outstanding performance against a team that was vastly strengthened. It was a French team that was very committed. They came out and scored a try early on. But I thought the quality, two things today that really impressed me tremendously was the work rate of everyone around the ball. So when a tackle was made, the speed with which that player got on his feet and got back to help his mates was outstanding. And then if you were in a situation where you could turn the ball over, they were in the first half alone. Surfontaine won a penalty, Dupree won a counteract penalty, Marks won a penalty, Molherber won a penalty, and Khaleesi won a penalty for holding the guy up, a turnover for holding the guy up in the tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 or 6 turnovers in one half by different players just shows how hard that team's working for each other. The 20 minutes in that second half when the French had 25 phases, I mean, it was quite extraordinary that they didn't, that the French didn't. They kept on using just brutal forwards, and being very direct, and our defence was outstanding. They never used the outside channels or dummy runners and try to use the width of the field. So, but you have to give a lot of credit. Look at that, 169 tackles made against 58 for France, and that I reckon 100 of those tackles was in those 20 minutes that we were on our line in the second half. Surfontaine was absolutely superb as an inside centre, organising our defence, and I thought Sia Khaleesi was immense today. Absolutely tremendous, played incredibly well. Replacements that came off the bench made a difference.
Yes.
Kitsoff with his defensive ability and his scrummaging, and then obviously Kuni with that explosive try that he scored. So good on defence. Still scored 4 tries in this game against a much better French team that pushed England all the way at Twickenham. You know, it's a really good turnaround from last year. We can be very positive, and things are looking up for this team.
We spoke with Nick on First 15 and asked about what changes, if any, should Alistair Coetzee make during the course of the series. He's got a third test. He's won the series. There are a couple of guys who are on the fringes who probably want to get a little bit more game time. Would you stick to the current crop and build their confidence, or would you bring in 1 or 2 new faces?
It's a tough question. I think what he needs to look at is the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is the championship. And you've built quite a bit of confidence now in 2 internationals. I would not really change if I need to. I would keep very close to the same team.
Yeah.
If there's a guy that's maybe got a niggle, then rather let him rest. In the front row, you can maybe look at Kitsoff, maybe starting. But to be honest, you know, you ask guys to come out and perform. Now they performed.
Yeah.
Now you've got to
back them.
Yeah, you've got to back them and give them credit for what they've done, Nick. Yeah. And to actually leave a guy out now and he thinks, but I've done absolutely what I can in 2 internationals. We've played well. And now suddenly I'm not in the squad for the third one.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants a rotation policy, but I think, you know, for the bigger picture, we need to really keep going and grafting and grafting and grafting.
And win it 3-0.
Yeah.
Well, Ashwin, in the lead-up to the match, you highlighted a couple of key positions, and I suppose a lot of those players are Lions players. I suppose the spine of the team, and you want to see the spine remain intact pretty much for the remainder of the season, if possible.
Well, I look. If you look at last week in comparison to this week, I think the fact that we were able to keep this similar team, build that momentum, and you could see that today the way the players performed. There was a continuity from last weekend's performance. So in terms of the structure of the team, I think if you can keep the momentum, if you look at the back three, there's literally 3 caps amongst them. Now it's 6 caps combined amongst them. So the players in the team at this stage also need to build the international experience. So I think keeping the momentum, the continuity in terms of team selection is obviously a good one moving into the next test. So the players can become a lot more familiar with each other. The loose forward trio also worked well together. And I think, a player like Jean-Luc Depree, when he came on, the impact that he made and how well he fitted into that loose forward trio in terms of carrying the ball up, doing his basics well, and then being supported by a phenomenal performance by Siya Kolisi, playing to the breakdown, making sure that he competes hard on the ball. And another interesting thing is if you look at the stats, 169 tackles, but only 6 missed tackles versus 14 from France. So you can see also in terms of the commitment to really make the tackle, I think that to me was really something that showed the character of this team. So in terms of the performance overall, I think the Bok performance was really an indication of the quality of this team and the potential of this team, because a well-improved performance by the French, a lot of changes in the team. So this was really, from a France perspective, it was a good, solid performance from them, but it just indicates how well the Boks were able to move from one week into the next and up their performance.
Right, well, we started off the build-up to the test asking the question, can this new look Springbok team exercise the demons of Durban? So far, so good. Not been good reading from a South African point of view in Durban. Owen Komane, Jean de Villiers, your take on what I thought was a phenomenal result.
Warren Whiteley discharges one of the outstanding performances. What stood up from this group of players is the effort and the work they did without ball in hand, John. If anything, for lots of periods in that first half and the start of the second half, no ball, under a lot of pressure. They made the tackles. We were concerned about that inside channel. Not today.
It was an unbelievable effort from the Boks. Defensively, that 15-minute period after halftime, the way they defended, the way they put their bodies on the line, that's what Springbok rugby is all about, and that showed attitude. They've been asking for attitude all along, and they showed that tonight. So the French are probably not the benchmark that we want to measure ourselves against. The last time we played here against the All Blacks, we took a beating. So that is still the benchmark. Yes, we have improved, but there is still a lot to work on. But this team will be so happy. As a supporter, I'm very happy.
I hear in the studio there's a bit of a thought process. Nasal's asked the question in terms of what would we do next week? And Jean, we won the series. What is the way forward? Thinking maybe World Cup in the back of your mind? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think we're thinking World Cup yet. I think it's all about building a little bit of momentum, building a bit of consistency. This team actually, molding themselves together as a unit and getting to know each other, and that takes time. It does not take just 2 games. So, yes, you want to eventually start introducing guys. I don't think the time is there yet. In saying that, a fit again Jaco Kriel might get a shot next week. A Roo Andrea in Joburg at Ellis Park might get a shot. So we might see guys getting introduced.
Do we need to see the changes? I asked this question pretty simply because the way the game has moved on, 2 weeks' time we're back to Super Rugby. Is 80 minutes, is a week long enough for that 80 minutes to say I'm going to hang on to the same team, I'm going to win the series? I asked these questions once again when we played Wales a couple of years right at the stadium. We beat them well, went down to Nelspruit. People questioned the selection of then head coach of South Africa. Said, why are you carrying on? Why not giving the youngsters a chance? What should be done next week?
I think that situation is very different to the one we're currently in. A much more established team we had back then. This team is very different. So, yes, there might be changes.
We need changes.
If he changes, when he changes. But I think it's about the team, just creating that stability. Because, yes, we've won this series, but it's about constant improvement for this team. And the easiest way to do that is to stick together, build that unity, and get to know each other. Be behind for a while, maybe, with 10 minutes to go.
Get a castle. That works, doesn't it?
All I'm saying is this team still needs to learn a lot. And to be able to do that, you want your best guys on the field. They need to go through it together and learn from each other in those situations.
Last week, we were very impressed with the performance of Serfontein and Jesse Creel. Mapu came on. Your grading his performance?
Jan Serfontein, sublime tonight. Fantastic player, and you can see he's just full of confidence at the moment. Lionel didn't get that many opportunities, but definitely a pass mark for Lionel as well. Defensively solid, and the couple of opportunities he had on attack, he did all right. So Jan certainly is the glue at the moment in that midfield. He's playing fantastic rugby, and I think a couple of other guys. Sia Khaleesi celebrating his birthday yesterday, playing one of the best games in a Springbok jersey from a flanker in a very, very long time. So great performance from him. Franco Mostert, with 20 minutes to go, he already made 20 tackles. So unbelievable effort from him. And so you can go down the list. So, the fact that the fans are staying here and taking in everything, taking in the atmosphere and wanting to see the box again, this team is on the up, and you just get such a positive vibe.
Jean is a former leader of South Africa with the Springbok team. A message for a guy like Andries Kutsia, Raymond Rule. We talk of Cornels Costa. Not too many opportunities with ball in hand. What do you think goes through their mind? Are they getting frustrated? Yes, we got the win. How do they approach next week? How do they approach of saying, I've got to stay calm, my opportunities will come? A message for guys like that.
It's exactly that. When your opportunity comes, you need to be able to deliver. Raymond Rule might not have had the ball that many times today, but to chase down Vakatawa like he did there, to catch him, to make sure that he doesn't score the try, that goes a long way, because he could have given up. And they score the try, no one would have said a thing. But the commitment to keep chasing, never to give up, this defensive effort, that's what a team's about. And if you put the team first, then it's not about the personal achievements and the individual performances. And this team, what I'm seeing out there is that it's the team first. It's a collective effort, whether you're just scrumming or whatever you're doing, it's all for the team and putting the team first, which is fantastic.
Good chatting to you. Claude, I think back to you guys in the studio. Let's hear some of your questions, but interesting to get the views of Jean de Villiers.
Right, well, thank you very much, gents. Certainly has been a wonderful performance. Some key performers highlighted by those guys. We saw Sia Khaleesi with the man of the match. A lot of talk about Kitshoff, Kuni Oosthuizen and Jean-Luc as well. Ashi?
Indeed, and I think, we're talking about changes for next week. We should not lose sight of the fact that, we were questioning whether or not we were able to beat France, in the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
We compared this two games to last year, and we see, how last year, at the end of last year, how disappointed we all were as Boks supporters. But so I think in terms of the team and team selection and moving forward, no player plays a phenomenal game in hope that he'll be changed next week by another player. So I think, in terms of the players that are here, if you look at the selection, these names, you go through them, are all players that have performed in Super Rugby. And I think as a consequence, it's about allowing them to play, to establish themselves and get the confidence in the Bok jersey. These wins, the confidence you get as a player after a win like this, if you can keep that and embed that in the team, I think that will allow this team to even grow and develop further.
Winning is a habit.
Yeah, in addition to that, I think Ashwin, the backbone of this team has been the Lions players, and we're playing in Joburg next weekend. And I think it's fantastic that Warren Whiteley, captain of the Lions, captain of the Springboks, can take his team, the team that's done so well in Pretoria and in Durban, to take his team to what is his home ground, and let him lead this team to a 3-0 victory. Imagine the confidence we'll then take into the Rugby Championship. In 3 games, we can find ourselves, Scotland are 4th in the world at the moment, and on these sort of performances, we can very quickly get back to number 2. I think New Zealand is still a bit ahead of the game, but Australia, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, England has done incredibly well, but we could be right up there competing with England with this team playing with this sort of enthusiasm.
Ashwin, just quickly, this is a lesson for everybody that's not on the field at the moment. Go and use your opportunities in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Show Alistair that you're good enough to actually put some pressure on the players that's there. But you've got to give credit to the players that's been on the park and select them for next week. I was a little bit surprised with Owen because it sounds like he wants a change or two. And I don't really think it's necessary the way it is at the moment. And it's like we've all said, and you also just mentioned it now, let the guys get confidence in that green jersey, let them beat France 3-0 and leave on a good note. When you arrive for Argentina, you're on a good note. Let's say we change a couple and suddenly it's a struggle or whatever. What do you turn up when you play Argentina in a month's time?
You also have to play yourself out of a Springbok jersey.
Yeah,
you've just won 2 games by 37 points. I mean, you've contributed to a really good team effort. There's a fantastic spirit in the team at the moment. Why should you cede your jersey to a guy just to give him an opportunity?
Precisely.
That guy must play himself into the side, and you must play yourself out of the side with a poor performance. But at the moment, the guys coming on the field add impact, and the guys who start the game have been doing a great job.
You talk about the guys coming onto the field. I think a player like Steven Kitshoff coming on for Beast. Beast is the experienced Beast in Tawarira, and then Kitshoff comes on, younger player coming onto the field. But in terms of the performance that he put in straight away, you can see that even the bench players, when they come on, they apply pressure on the player in the starting position. So that is healthy competition that is being created there. And, so I think in terms of team dynamics, the more you play with a partner next to you in a national jersey, you build a relationship and understanding of playing in a national team together.
Ashwin, the answer is clearly, they're enjoying what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
They're playing well, they're getting results. Of course, if I come on for even 10 minutes, I want to show maybe I can get an opportunity. But that's what it's all about. Last year, if we don't want to compare, let's move on now but last year, we couldn't change quick enough because it never worked. Now it's working, so why do you want to fix something that's not broken?
And Nas, finally, rotation is the right thing to do at Super Rugby level because it's a marathon.
Yeah.
A test match is there to win every weekend. It's not a marathon, it's 3 games, then there's a break. Then it's the Rugby Championship, then there's a break, then there's a November tour. Winning test matches is all that matters. So you put your best team on the field, and if you've had an injury or 2 and the team performs well, then you replace that injured player, but you don't make changes for the sake of changes.
And what I really liked also was last week we dominated the breakdown. We were able to get quick ball. We saw Ross Cornier getting to the breakdown quickly. In the first 20 minutes of this game, the ball was delayed at the breakdown. The French competed quite hard at the breakdown. They rushed up on the fence, making the space a little bit smaller. So as a consequence, South Africa had to change and adjust to the pressures coming from the French. Now, that adjustment that took place within the latter part of the first half, I think that also shows you how these players are able to look at the scenario that happens on the field and adjust. Now, you grow together as a team in terms of how to adjust under these circumstances and pressures. And I think this allows this team to actually develop in that aspect of the game as well, which is very critical, especially if you come up against the likes of New Zealand, etc.
Well, the key thing is just judging by the tweets, the number of tweets and what's being said on them, people thoroughly were impressed by what they saw and entertained. I think that's incredibly important. At Pihelo Madolo says, Guni's try reminded me of the Oli LaRue try against Scotland in 1999. I don't know if you remember that pass from Uist. And Bill McLaren described Oli as a big battle out of control. I remember that one very well. But just a quick reminder for those of you who might be wanting to rub shoulders with the Springboks. If you fancy a braai with the Boks, this is incredibly important. Bright Rock and the Chris Berger Peter Jackson Fund invite you to the Play the Bounce braai. Great chance to raise funds for the fund. And obviously there are going to be a couple of young players, 50 young players, who will get a chance to go for a training camp with the Springboks. So that's quite exciting. And it'll take place at Monte Casino next weekend in the lead up to the deciding test match. There's a lot more rugby still to come, and yes, next weekend the Boks will wrap up the international season, but tonight first, still more to look forward to as the English prepare to make it 2 in a row. Can they against Argentina, or will they face an RG backlash? The South African AE side will take on the French Barbarians. That match will be played in Soweto on Friday evening. Looking forward to that, and hopefully a bigger crowd than what we saw in Durban last night. And of course, the third and final test match in the Castle Lager incoming series, South Africa against France. That from Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. Kickoff is at 5. We'll be on air from 4 o'clock. Thank you very much for all the tweets and messages. Well done to the Springboks. And gentlemen, We're not used to this. A couple of wins in a row from the Springboks. We haven't seen it in the last year. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it's what Warren Whiteley said. He understands how important the Springboks are, and so did Sia to the public, South African public, and they want to bring the pride back in the Springbok jersey, and they're busy doing it at the moment.
No, thanks very much, Springboks. We certainly have enjoyed that. We enjoyed being in your company. Thank you very much for joining us. Without doubt, I can say, Kumnandi Makaya. Thanks to the box. Have a good night.
It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. This road is won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
The deepest waters won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
I'm taking it to the sky. I'm never taking a break. I'm only taking what's mine. You say it's taking too long.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.